Hi everyone. Today we are talking about finding the volume of rectangular prisms. So sticking with geometry, but we are moving on to three-dimensional shapes. So to give you an idea of what that looks like, here is an example of a rectangular prism. Along with the formula, which tells us to find the volume, we must multiply the length times the width by the height. And our learning target for today is I can calculate the volume of rectangular prisms. So, before we jump into that, I want to talk about what is volume. Volume is the amount of three-dimensional space occupied by an object. So here we have a three-dimensional object. I know that it is a 3D object because it has three dimensions. It has a length, a width, and a height going in three different directions. And the name of this specific 3D object is called a rectangular prism, which is what we'll be working with today. Volume is always measured in cubic units, and some examples of that might include cubic centimeters, or we represent that as centimeters cubed. We also have cubic inches, cubic meters, cubic feet, just to name a few. But the main thing is knowing that it is cubic or cubed units, so that exponent should always be a 3. And then again, we do have our formula here, which is the length times the width times the height to find the volume of a rectangular prism. So some practice problems you might see might ask you to find what is the volume. So I'm going to start with my formula, which is that the volume is equal to the length times the width times the height. Next, I'm going to plug in what I know based on the information given in the picture. So I know that the length is 12, the width is 15, the height is 6. Now, the order that you multiply does not matter. So if you thought that the height was 15 and you multiplied in a different order, that's not going to change your answer. So don't worry about that. My next step is to just multiply these three numbers, and I determined that the volume is 1,080 cubic inches. The next problem we have here, again, asks what is the volume? And I'm going to start by reminding myself of what the volume formula is. Length times width times height. I then plug in the dimensions that I know. So I know that I am multiplying 6 times 3 times 4. And my final answer, the volume of this rectangular prism, is 72 cubic centimeters. Hopefully that's making sense so far. A more challenging type of problem involving volume would be finding a missing dimension. So the problem might look like the volume is 48 cubic centimeters. What is the height? I'm still going to use my volume formula, but the information that I'm given is a little bit different now. So when I plug in, I know that I can replace the volume with 48, and then I'm given the length and the width, but I don't know what the height is. So I'm going to leave the height as expressed by h. I can simplify 2 times 8, which gives me 16. So I'm left with the equation 48 equals 16 multiplied by h. To solve this equation, I have to divide both sides by 16, which tells me that the height of the rectangular prism is 3 centimeters. Let's try one more problem. So here it tells me that the volume is 900 cubic inches. What is the width? So again, I'm going to start with my formula and then I will plug in what I know. I know that the volume is 900, the length is 10, and the height is 6. I need to figure out what the width is. To simplify this, remember we said we can multiply in any order. So on the right side of my equation, I'm going to simplify and multiply 10 times 6, which gives me 60W. So I have the equation 900 equals 60W. My next step is to divide both sides by 60, which tells me that the width is going to be equal to 15 inches. So that is all that we have for today's lesson. Hopefully that made sense to you guys, but if you need any help, send me an email, send me a message, and I would be happy to walk through some more examples with you guys. Good luck.